Rev up your engines!
Well, J.D. Power just rated the most dependable cars, and as usual, it's a load of horse manure. I can't believe this. Genesis, Kia, Buick, Chevrolet, Mitsubishi, and then Toyota. I don't know who's paying who to rate these things like that, but as most dependable to rate those cars, it is totally, patently absurd. Kia, Buick, Chevrolet, Mitsubishi above Toyota. Come on now. Everybody knows those car manufacturers have serious problems, right? With quality control, poor quality control. But it lists them as the most dependable. I mean, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. But then again, it's J.D. Powers. J.D. Powers rated, they gave awards. Basically, they're a marketing firm. Why would anybody listen to what these people say? I just can't believe that they rate those as the most dependable. To me, it's just, you might as well slap people in the face. You people are idiots. You'll believe anything. What are they going to say next? J.D. Powers proves the moon is made out of cheese. To me, it's just patently absurd. Does anybody pay attention to this company anymore? Rating those cars as the top, way over Toyota. If you bought one of those cars they rated as great, it falls apart, you won't be laughing. You buy a Kia that falls apart, a Mitsubishi that falls apart, you won't be laughing. You'll be crying then. But that's why I make these videos. Hey, listen to somebody who knows about cars. Ask real mechanics that know about cars, that actually fix them and see what's dependable was. Don't listen to J.D. Powers of what the best, most reliable. And it wasn't like they said, well, these are the absolute best. Best doesn't mean anything. But they rated those as the most dependable car brands from that point down. It's just insane. TJ Brown says, why does my Honda Civic shake in reverse? I just bought an 03 Civic with 198,000 miles. It runs great, but if I put it in reverse, it shakes. But it doesn't shake in drive or idle, just in reverse. What could it be? Well, there's generally one of two things. Let's pray it's one. If the transmission mounts or motor mounts are cracking and breaking, you put it in reverse, it's driving the opposite direction. Pray that one of those is worn and that makes it shake. I have a video how to check out motor mounts on your car. Watch that. You can see, jack it up, see if they're cracking and broken and replaced, right? Now, the other one is what you don't want to hear. If reverse gear is going out, it can also make it shake in reverse, but not in drive, which would mean the transmission is starting to go out. It does have 198,000 miles, and that would be so expensive. Honda Civic transmissions, you're going to rebuild one of those things, you're looking anywhere from like $2,500 to $5,500. They're very complex. They're like motorcycle transmissions. They have to be split, the cases, and rebuilt. They're very expensive. So pray it's just the motor mounts or transmission mounts and not the transmission itself going out. Marduk says, can I mix liquid moly automatic transmission additive with Honda HCF2 fluid? Is it okay if I top up my 2017 Honda CVT with liquid moly transmission fluid? Sadly, I can't get the Honda genuine HCF2 fluid where I live. No. Do not do that. Hondas are extremely particular about the fluid that's in them. They have different additives, and that's a CVT transmission. I would never, ever mix anything with it. No one has any idea what chemicals are in each one, and you mix them together. Who knows? Never want to mix, especially in a Honda. Now, back in the day, when American cars used, like Dextron and Ford used their Ford special kind of fluid, the fluids weren't all that different. But in these CVTs, especially Hondas, I would never, ever mix anything with CVT Honda transmission with the fluid that came in. You can't buy it in your area. There's Amazon. You can always have it delivered to your house. Stick only to the Honda fluid in Honda or you'll regret it. I mean, you're smart. You said, I'm not going to flush it. Don't flush it. But just use the Honda fluid wherever you can get it. People mail things too. Even most dealerships today, they'll have online sites. You can buy it there and then they ship it to you. Devin8778 says, what's the best way to get out of car debt? Buy a cash car like me. Well, in this case, it can. He's got a girlfriend who bought a 2020 Toyota Corolla for $18,000. Car's great, but she still owes $14,000. What can I do? She doesn't want to pay for it anymore, and she doesn't want to ruin her credit. Well, your girlfriend's stuck between a rock and a hard place. They're great cars. She owes $14,000. Put it on the market and see what people will offer. They can offer her the $14,000. Let somebody else take it up. The dealer won't take it back there. I mean, you might ask the dealer. A lot of times these days, they're even talking to people. I have people here in Tennessee. The dealer calls them up says, hey, do you want to sell your car, trade it in, because they're looking for them. Try that first. Maybe they'll give you the 14 grand for it, or maybe somebody will pay more than 14 grand for it. Try that. But if you don't, you better stuck with it, because if she doesn't pay, she's going to get bad credit rating and all that stuff. So see what you can sell for. You never know. The market's still relatively high. If it's a low mileage Corolla, maybe she can get rid of it and then either take the bus or ride in your car instead of her own. Well, if you're looking at a Chevy Colorado, you might think again, because in 2023, they've ditched both the V6 engines and the diesel engines, and they're only using a 2.7 liter 4-cylinder gasoline engine. And of course, the chief engineer for GM says, and I quote, "This is one of the most durable engineers GM's ever made. It's really, really good." Well, I beg to differ. Of course, he's the engineer behind it. What's he going to say? Man, we're really making some crap here. Don't buy it. Of course he's going to say it's really, really good. It's a 4-cylinder engine. It's turbocharged. Yeah, it puts out a lot of torque and horsepower once it starts spinning, but it isn't going to hold up. GM 4-cylinder turbos are notorious for having problems. I see it all the time. It has a high compression ratio engine and boosts up to 27 PSI boost. These things are going to blow, let me tell you. The more pressure, the faster they wear out. A naturally aspirated 5.3 liter GM engine that, at least in the past, decades ago, was a great engine, right? They made them cheaper too. But you got a little 4-cylinder engine with a turbo. It's got twice the pressure. They have 27 PSI boost. They're going to wear out fast too. And they say, we took engineering from diesel engines and put them into this gasoline engine. They have cast iron in the aluminum block where the pistons go up and down so it doesn't wear out. But they say it's a more modern cast iron. It doesn't wear out like the old liners did. They always say, hey, no, we had problems in the past, but this new stuff, no, it won't have any problems at all. Guess what? Old Scotty's telling you it's going to have problems. I can guarantee you that. I just had a guy email me with a brand new Chevy truck with 5,000 miles and an injector blew out of it already. And that was a V8 engine with half the pressure of this 4-cylinder inside, right? And then they say this 2.7 has diesel-grade steel piston rings instead of cast iron ones with PVD coatings. Well, let me tell you something. Throughout history, I've seen GM coat their metal with stuff, and guess what? The coating wears off, then they burn oil. Think of the old Vega. The old Vega that burnt oil like mad because they had aluminum blocks, but coating. And when it wore out, they burnt oil like no tomorrow. And of course, GM says, oh, we've tested them for weeks on dynos, blah, blah, blah. Okay, get them on the road. And then you'll see what the real test is. And I can guarantee you they're going to have engines blowing all over the place. So we'll see what happens as time goes on. But I'm predicting you got a little 4-cylinder engine that has twice the compression pressure inside. Let me tell you, I can only foresee disaster. Ant needs your help, says, should I buy this used Jeep? I'm thinking about buying a vehicle. I like an '03 Wrangler Sahara Sport. I commute, but I don't care about gas mileage or comfort. I know it's fun. What do you think of it? The 2003 Wranglers were pretty solid built. Those Wranglers are more or less real Jeeps. They're not like the Jeep Renegade that's a rebadged Fiat 500 four-wheel drive vehicle. They're actual Jeepy vehicles, and they can be pretty good. Now, it's 20 years old, so you got to have a mechanic like me check out. Especially the transmission, that's the weakest point. Check that out. Check the electronics. They can often have problems with wiring and stuff, but any mechanic worth their salt can hook up their fancy scan tool and check through all that and see how it's going. If it checks out okay, they can be decent vehicles. I'd say never buy a brand new one. Fiat took over, it went down, now it's Stellantis, it's even worse. But in '03, they were building them pretty good. As long as it was taken care of, you have a mechanic check it out. It could be a fun vehicle to drive around. Because back in those days, they were still pretty solidly built, unlike the modern ones. James Jr. says, our French car is reliable. My dad has a 2012 Peugeot 408 2-liter with 106,000 miles. He didn't have any issues, but it seems to plague most EU manufacturers. What do you think of French manufacturers? All right, well, you know, they pulled out of the United States decades ago. The thing is, they don't make cars that hold up under American driving conditions. Americans drive them hard. They don't maintain them well. They do long distances, right? So if you look at the history of French cars in the United States, they're dramatic failures. Anything from the Dauphine to the Renault Alliance, when they had a thing going with Chrysler, they were massive failures because The quality wasn't all that great. Maybe for a little puddle jumper like they have in Europe. I know guys in England who've owned Peugeots for decades, they're happy. 8,000, 10,000 miles a year max on their cars, and they never go over 50 miles an hour. They can be okay in Europe. There's more European mechanics know how to work on them. But here in the United States, no, they were massive failures. They weren't set up for the American condition. If we drive them hard, we drive them fast. We always use automatic transmissions. You know, the Europeans, a lot of them drive standards. Here, no, they're automatics. The whole scene just never fit America, and they were massive failures. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.